Welcome to Thriller Vault. Tonight I have the creepy true story of Super Skip. This story is sourced from The Sociopath Next Door by Dr. Martha Stout, one of my favorite books of all time. Quick disclaimer. I have edited, paraphrased, and changed the point of view to make this into a story. Some minor details may be speculation and or fiction, but the main details are true according to Martha Stout's book. Here is Super Skip. My name is Skip, and I've always been different than everyone around me. Maybe different isn't the right word exactly. I've always been better. Better looking, smarter, more charming. In general, people are homely, idiotic, and easily manipulated. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start from the beginning. I was brilliant and handsome as a little kid, too. You might be thinking that I'm arrogant, but that's what everyone told me. My parents, their fancy friends, my teachers, everyone could see how special I was. They couldn't understand why my grades were so mediocre, given my obvious intelligence. But I didn't care about getting good grades. I cared about winning and getting what I wanted with the least amount of effort. I could skate by with C's with minimal effort. I didn't need to get A's. I knew I'd get into my dad's alma mater because I was a legacy. When I was in high school, my parents wondered why I wasn't into dating and girls. I liked girls for what they were good for. In fact, I had been hooking up with girls since I was 11. But I wasn't into dating. Total waste of my time. In case you haven't figured it out yet, my parents were rich. I used to go through my father's taxes and financial records, trying to figure out how much money I'd get when they die. I used to daydream about what kind of car I'd buy, where I'd live, and what I'd do with all that money. I've always had a problem with boredom. Just like now, as a kid, I was always bored. So I'd occupy my mind with fun activities. I'd charm girls into hooking up. I'd charm my teachers into those C's even when I didn't deserve it. I'd daydream about my parents dying in a car accident. I'd imagine all the sympathy I'd get, along with that cold, hard cash. When I was a kid, my family used to vacation on a lake in Virginia. The first time we went there, I was 8 years old. I was bored out of my freaking mind. So I went down to the lake. There were frogs everywhere. I kicked a few of them, but that got boring. So I went back to the lake house and grabbed this net I saw in the shed, along with a pair of scissors. The frogs were so easy to catch with the net. I would hold the frogs down on their backs and stab their big fat stomachs. I used to watch their stupid jelly eyes go dead as they bled to death. Then, I would throw the corpses back into the lake and shout, "Too bad for you, little F-faced froggy." I would spend hours killing those stupid frogs, but I eventually bored of stabbing them, so I started blowing them up with fireworks. I'd shove a firecracker in the mouth of a bullfrog, and kablam, frog guts everywhere. It was awesome. I blew up so many of those effers. Man, I had a blast. I wanted to share it with someone, so I invited my 6-year-old sister Claire down to the lake. She helped me catch the frogs, and she was having a great time. Then when I blew one up, Claire started crying like a little baby and ran home. It was just a frog. Of course, Claire told my mom what I was doing. You know what my mom did? Absolutely nothing. Even as an 8-year-old, my mom knew better than to F with me. Claire started hiding her cat from me. I bet you're thinking I'm in prison now, some famous serial killer like Ted Bundy, but you'd be wrong. Or maybe you think I killed my parents for their money. But I've never been to prison, my parents are still alive, and I made my own money. A shitload of money, too. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Even with my shitty grades, I got into my dad's alma mater, just like I knew I would. In college, I mostly partied and hooked up with co-eds. I was a legend with the ladies. Like high school, I skated by, graduating with a C average, doing the bare minimum. Then I went to grad school and got an MBA, again skating by with C's. I got a job with Erica Corporation, a company that made mining equipment. I was a great salesman. I could charm anyone. I'd been doing it my whole life. I was a risk taker too, which helped with the boredom. I went international with my sales. I sold to the copper miners in Chile and the gold miners in South Africa. I made Erica Corporation into the 3rd largest vendor of open pit mining equipment in the entire world. My boss was so happy that he gave me a Ferrari as a gift. When I was 29, I met Juliet. She was only 22 at the time, the daughter of a famous billionaire who had made his money in the oil business. I knew Juliet would be the perfect wife for me. I charmed my potential father-in-law just like I did everyone else. He was my ticket to more. More money, more power, more connections, more winning. And Juliet would be the perfect person to make me look respectable. She was sweet, naive, and most importantly, obedient. I knew she'd accept her role as my wife and social planner. She was respectable, attractive, and she looked good on my arm. Most importantly, I knew she'd look the other way when I got bored and slept with random women. A week before the wedding, my mother said to me, "This marriage, do you really need to do this to her life?" I usually ignored my mother, but it struck me as funny. She was more concerned about this random woman than her own son. So I smiled wide and said, "We both know she'll never know what hit her." I married Juliet and married into her wealthy family. Her family's wealth made my family look like paupers. Our marriage went like I thought it would. I did whatever the hell I wanted, and she kept her mouth shut. By the time I was 36, I was president of the International Division of Erica Corporation. I earned it too. I was bringing in $80 million a year in business. I gave Juliet 2 daughters too, which kept her busy and kept up my image as a family man. It wasn't all easy though. Weak employees would complain that I was insulting and vicious, but that's business. If you want to rise to the top, you have to be cutthroat. Then I had this secretary who was young and attractive. She wanted me, there was no doubt about it. We were alone, working late one night, and I pulled her into my lap. She tried to resist me and ended up breaking her arm. She was insane. She broke her own arm. She struggled with me, the stupid bitch. Why the hell did she put up such a fight? The company paid her 50 grand to shut up and go away. No big deal. There were other accusations against me. They called it sexual misconduct, but it was all bullshit. And even if it wasn't, I was too valuable to fire, so they made everything go away with a little cash. If you think about how much money I made for the company, it was a drop in the bucket. Over the years, I was given more than 1 million shares of Erica Corporation, making me the second largest shareholder behind the founder. A few months after my 51st birthday, I took over Erica as the CEO. A couple years after I became CEO, I was accused of fraud by the SEC. The charge is pending. It's bullshit though. I'm not worried about it. I always win in the end. Skip is likely a sociopath. According to Martha Stout's book, The Sociopath Next Door, 1 in 25 people are sociopathic. She defines sociopaths as people with little to no conscience. Lacking a conscience, Skip felt no remorse for the frogs he killed. He felt no remorse for manipulating his teachers or for using women as sex objects. He felt no remorse for tormenting his sister or hoping for the death of his parents to collect his inheritance. He felt no remorse for harassing and intimidating his employees. He felt no remorse for having extramarital affairs. He felt no remorse for committing fraud. To Skip, relationships are only useful if he has something to gain. What would life be like without a conscience? How would you treat others if you didn't care about hurting them, deceiving them, or exploiting them? This is the reality for 4% of the U.S. population. According to the FBI, approximately 25 to 50 active serial killers are in the United States. According to Martha Stout, there are approximately 13 million sociopaths. It's unlikely that you've encountered a serial killer, but you probably have a handful of sociopaths like Skip, who you interact with on a regular basis. For the sociopath, life is a game, and you're just a pawn to manipulate. These people plot, scheme, and destroy. You pick up the pieces and wonder, what the heck happened? Thank you so much for watching and listening to Thriller Vault. If you enjoyed this story, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all next week for another thriller story.